Welcome. We are so glad that you joined us as we return to the Anita B. Gorman Discovery Center for Native Plants at Noon. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see what's going on. There we go. I lost it. There we go. Technology, huh? As many of you know, today is one of my favorite days of the month, and I'm excited that you are all here. Next month, we will take native plants on the road again, with Missouri Department of Conservation. And in July, we will get a chance to catch back up with Alix and Cydney here at the Anita B. Gorman Discovery Center. I love a good road trip, and I hope you will join us virtually next month. Today, Alix and Cydney are going to talk about what's blooming now, and there is just so much. So during the program, if you have questions, please note those in the Facebook comments or in the Q&A tool on Zoom. And we will get to as many of those as we can. I'll be using the chat feature to send you the plants mentioned and the links that they share. And be sure to stay till the end to have a chance to win a prize. So let's get started. First of all, we want to express a big thank you to the Missouri Department of Conservation for their partnership on this series, but also for just everything they do to help encourage and empower people to plant more native plants. We just couldn't be more excited about our partnership with them and their support. With that, we'd like to welcome landscape specialists. Welcome back, that is, landscape specialists Cydney Ross and Alix Daniel at the Anita B. Gorman Discovery Center. Cydney and Alix, take it away.
Thanks so much, Tammy.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's so great to be back.
Yes,
and
it's so great.
I think last time we chatted with you all, it was still winter, but on the cusp of spring, and now we're in summer. So Here you go. So today we are going to talk about a lot of amazing things that are in bloom here at the Discovery Center. So we're going to just go ahead and dive in. We have a lot to cover. If you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A and chime in while we have this conversation.
That's Cydney, by the way.
We are rusty, and that's Alix Daniel. As Tammy said, we're the native landscape specialists here at the Discovery Center, where we maintain the 9 acres of native landscaping, offer educational programs about native plants, just like this one here with Deep Roots.
Yeah. So this time, try flip the camera.
We're also
This time
having
of
some
year-
technical issues because our stabilizer.
We remember. This time of year is a really great time to go out to remnant prairies because you're going to see so many species blooming and it's full sun. And we've had the nice rain that has really made things pop. So what do we have here, Cydney?
So speaking of prairies and our natural areas, this is Primrose Prairie, my very first public landscape design that I created, and together we installed and have been maintaining. So I want to give a little bit of background of how we approached this bed from scratch. There's a lot of different ways to create your native landscape gardens. And this, obviously, we have great access to resources, including labor and money. So this is just one way to approach it on a larger scale. So here, we're in the Prairie Plaza here at the Discovery Center. And this strip looked a lot like what you see behind there. At the end of summer, it's a very tall planting that has like crown beard, ragweed, some really tall species, cut plant. So we cut down that whole section here, scraped the top layer of soil off to kind of get rid of some of that seed bank, because we had some pretty aggressive things, also like passion vine growing up through here. Then we brought in compost and installed the rocks. And then May of 2021, so happy first year birthday to Primrose Prairie, we installed almost 400 plants in this bed featuring 19 species. So I was inspired by a couple things. One, I wanted to showcase prairie flowers and grasses that you'd find here in Missouri. You'd also see them in savannas and glades. So this is a mixed bed in terms of sunlight. It's mostly full sun, but it does shift to part sun toward the end. So it's been kind of an interesting thing to see how it grows and see how we need to adjust things. Because that's one of the joys of gardening is you try something and then you see if it works. If it doesn't, you just shift it and try something else. So the second inspiration for this prairie, hence the name Primrose, is the Missouri evening primrose, or Oenothera macrocarpa. So let's take a closer look. So if you see these bright yellow flowers, we have over 90 of them snaking through the design of this bed at Primrose Prairie. As many of you know, I'm a huge nerd. I love native plants, but I also love moths. And something that's really exciting about this plant is it is pollinated specifically by sphinx moths. So Missouri evening primrose is such a fascinating flower. It's full sun species. You can see it grows low, and it is in its first year. So it is a little leggy in some areas, but that should calm down after the first year. It loves that dry, rocky soil, and it's a great ground cover species. So if you're looking for something along the edge of a pathway, this could be a good option for that. And let's take a look at the seed heads because they are really striking as well.
Yeah, this is just, well, these are actually the buds.
That's what I meant.
Look like these crazy.
Those are interesting
they're
too.
really
But take a
beautiful.
look at the coloring on the bud.
So pretty.
So pretty, that speckling.
Yeah.
So something cool about this flower is though you see it open during the day, it actually starts opening at night. I was just reading about this today because I had seen it glowing at night when I walk around here at dusk, but then I noticed it's open during the day too. So it attracts these nocturnal pollinators like moths because it's a pale color. It tends to open up at night. So yeah, did you know moths are important pollinators, just like bees and butterflies, but also flies, wasps, even beetles can be pollinators. So it's kind of interesting to think about the benefits of these other insects we can find in our own backyards.
Yeah. I think the physiology of the primrose indicates that it's probably pollinated by like some of our clumsier pollinators, like moths. Yeah, like big bodies,
and they got
lots of wings.
Tongues. Yeah, so
yeah.
could even, I don't know, maybe it would attract hummingbirds even if they like can get in there, because it does require a long tongue to reach the nectar.
Yeah.
So I mentioned there are 19 species in this bed. I'm not going to cover all of them today, but I do want to encourage you to register for So Wild's garden tour coming up. We are part of this tour, and we'll be talking specifically about this bed in depth, as well as a couple others here at the Discovery Center. And Tammy will put that link in the chat. You do need to register, but you can go visit other native gardens around Kansas City and see what people have been doing with their own yards. So we'll go way more in depth about it then. But for now, I want to show you one other plant in this bed. Actually, I just can't. Let's go back this way. This one's a better specimen. Okay.
Who's the prettiest flower today?
Okay, so you can't see the blooms very well right now, but this is rock pink. And I tried to memorize the Latin name before the program today, but definitely was not able to. You want it? Tell me, what is it?
Phemeranthus calycinus.
Yes, that's right. Let me get some shade on here. Okay,
Sorry, that's
you
really
see
hard
that?
to see.
So this is another glade species. It's a succulent, and it's actually in the Portalaka family. So it looks very similar to rose moss or Portalaka.
Purslane is another one.
Sorry, it's in the purslane family. Portalaka is a type of purslane. So it's really succulent. I've had some great success growing this in pots. So if you're looking to add some native plants to your balcony, you can try growing this plant there. It self-seeds. Don't plant it with anything else in a pot because it can't handle being taken over by aggressive plants. But you could plant prickly pear with it, which is something we did here at the Discovery Center, and it's really beautiful. So I love this flower. It's not opening yet, but it opens in the late afternoon, and it will have a bright magenta flower that is just stunning. It really feels like hot girl summer. So
Yes.
that's what I think about that.
I think a lot of people don't know that we do have a lot of native succulents in
Yeah.
Missouri, and that's one of the cutest ones.
Yeah, people are often surprised
Can I quickly show?
that and
Yeah.
By prickly pear being native.
Yeah, and
Yes.
here's another one real quick. This is Widow's Cross Sedum, which is also like just on the verge. Oops, sorry, just on the verge of flowering. That is an annual succulent in Missouri.
So one other thing I want to mention about Primrose Prairie before we move on is because this is in the first full year, we have to stay very diligent about weeding it. So when you're starting your own native bed, I would recommend you mulch it. I know mulch is not great for ground nesting bees, but it helps to keep the weeds down. So it depends on your goals. We do leave some open dirt spaces in our gardens, but for this purpose, since it was so new and since it could really get out competed quickly by weeds, we mulched it with pine bark mulch, western bark mulch. It looks like pine tree bark, and then we weed it like every week. So just something to keep in mind. Then hopefully by year 2 and 3, the plants that are supposed to be in this bed are well established and can outcompete most of the weeds that would show up. So.
Yeah. And I just want to say, give props to Cydney. This is the most well thought out design and execution of design that we've ever seen here at the Discovery Center. We always say that Pat and I always talk about how she really upped the bar. So now we have to make our personal garden. I mean, not our personal. Yes, it's too good. It's just too good. I mean, but just like in the context of plants filling in, this is the first year, and you can see that there's really not much gap, not much space, not much that we had to replant. Things are moving around really nicely. The Liatris reseeded itself, which is so lovely. The rock pink reseeded itself, and that's really special.
You can tell right plant, right place by that if it becomes prolific.
For sure.
Some other things that are in this bed, which again we'll talk about more at our upcoming tour, is we have 3 types of coneflower. Pale purple, yellow coneflower, and Glade Coneflower. We also have 3 types of Liatris: Savannah, Prairie, and rough blazing star. The blazing stars are the Liatris. And then we have some really cool grasses. So you just have to come back every week and take a look and see what's blooming now. All the coneflowers about to bloom.
It's a true like prairie birthday bed, because every week.
That's what it should be called, the prairie birthday bed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Anyway. Well, let's move on to our next plant. Alix is going to take over and tell us about some really cool plants you could add to your own backyard.
Yeah. So should we start with the Choreopsis?
Let's do it.
Okay. There are lots of native Choreopsis in Missouri, in Kansas, and this is one of our favorites. Do you want to go to that?
Yeah. Oh, yay, the Glade Coneflower is blooming. Okay, we're gonna, we try to limit ourselves, but why not? Why should we? Check out these cheery yellow flowers of Landslief Coreopsis.
Yeah, so this is one of our perennial Choreopsis, and it grows really, really well in full sun, dry beds. We also have it in our bioswales out in our parking lot, and it loves being out there. It's so cheery, it's so beautiful. Just keep blooming and blooming. You can see all these buds. And if I would hold still and stop yelling, you would see that there are lots of native bees, native flies.
I've even seen baby grasshoppers hanging out on the flowers. How cute is that?
So cute. And then later on, we've started seeing a lot of butterflies in the last couple of weeks, but the butterflies will definitely be eating off of these.
So something that's cool about this plant. Oh, Joyce, thanks for chiming in. Yes, American goldfinch love the seeds.
Yes.
It's so cute. We were talking the other day about how they'll like grab hold of the flower or the seed head, and then they just fall over because they're they're so heavy. It's really adorable. Also, if you deadhead these flowers after they're done blooming initially, they will bloom a second time.
Right. You won't get the seeds for the birds, but you can get a second bloom and then leave those seed heads up
for the birds.
In the fall.
Cedar waxwing.
Nuh-uh.
No, what is that? No, it's not.
Oh.
Sorry. I saw cedar waxwing yesterday and I'm now obsessed.
You have amazing birds right now. Oh, this is
Okay.
the
Oh,
first.
look at this. The first cone flowers of the season.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is Glade Coneflower, Echinacea simulata. And I love pairing this with the Landslief Coreopsis because you can see they bloom around the same time.
Yeah.
What you got anything else you want to add about this particular plant?
No, that's just the first of many coneflowers that we'll show you. Yeah, that's like it's so exciting.
It looks a lot like Echinacea purpurea, which is the regular coneflower, purple coneflower, but this one is naturally found on glades and shallow soils and is the first of the coneflowers to bloom.
And it really looks exactly like pale purple coneflower.
It does look a lot like that too.
And pale purple, then the reason or the way you can tell the difference is the pollen when it comes on later, but also that this coneflower, the Glade coneflower blooms before. Just a little bit.
Just a bit before.
Yeah.
Prairie birthday. I tell you what.
Everything's popping up now.
Okay, so now we're gonna head over and talk about some vining flowers, and then we will get to questions at the end, so keep them coming if you've got them. But for now, check out this. Okay, this. So we've got two things going on here. Alix, take it away.
Okay, so I forgot to get a piece of honeysuckle, but y'all probably already know what bush honeysuckle looks like. Bush honeysuckle, Oenothera macchii, is one of the most detrimental species, one of the scariest species, invasive species that we have in the Kansas City area because, and y'all have heard me do this speech before, y'all already know this, but
every time for the people in the back.
People in the back who've never heard of it, bush honeysuckle bat. It's everywhere. It's blooming right now. Every white blooming shrub that you see all along the side of the highways, alongside every road, any unmanaged woodland in Kansas City is going to have honeysuckle blooming right now. And they have white and yellow flowers. These on these shrubs. They're gorgeous. There's a reason people planted them. They're beautiful, but they're really bad and they take over our forests and they crowd out native species and they're not good for our birds. You've heard the whole thing. So
you know the spiel.
But we do like to tell people about, there are some good honeysuckles. There are native honeysuckles. And this trellis structure has two of our native honeysuckles on it. So the first one we have is can we do yellow first?
Sure.
The first one we have is yellow honeysuckle. And
check out those leaves.
I know, look at that saucer plate.
Crazy.
It's like a little plate of flowers.
Aren't those called umbral? Is that right? Umbral leaves?
Maybe.
Describing the shape of it. I don't know. Reminds me of an
I
umbrella.
don't remember what that term is. It does look like an umbrella.
Yeah. So this is the yellow honeysuckle, Lonicera flava.
No, umbrel's the flower, the flat flower. Is it not sessile? I thought it was sessile.
Oh, could be.
Yeah, because they're wrapped around. Like that's what sessile is like when they're wrapped around. So anyway, all of our honeysuckles have leaves like that at the end. All of our vining honeysuckles have leaves like that at the end. So you'll see that with the other species too. But the yellow honeysuckle is one that works as a vine, and it's a really nice plant for hummingbirds. The coral honeysuckle is the red one, and it's also a wonderful honeysuckle or hummingbird plant. But I really love this yellow honeysuckle for the striking leaves. It's almost like eucalyptus shaped and textured, and then the flowers themselves are just so beautiful, ranging from white to yellow to pinky.
Yeah, it's like they look like they're blushing.
They do.
So
it's really cute.
And then,
so then this is one of my favorites. That's not a great one, is it? This is the coral honeysuckle, Lonicera sempervirens. And this one is a hummingbird magnet. Like I said, butterflies will feed off of it, bigger bees. And
have y'all seen your hummingbirds yet? We saw a few about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we saw one yesterday, last night in Brookside. And we love this vine. It's grown. Let's see, this is the third year, I think, that this structure.
See how big.
Here. Look how big it is.
So we even pruned it back last year. We're gonna prune it again because it is. It's very happy. Don't judge us. We're working on it, but
it's very prolific. It's beautiful. It catches everybody's eye. Everybody comes out here to visit this. If you sit still long enough, you will see a hummingbird. I personally don't see them because I can't.
We're too loud and we can't sit still.
But if you did that, you could,
You might.
especially in the evening. I bet, they're just all out here at night.
Yeah.
So this one is it's vining. It's also semi-evergreen. This one never went dormant.
It didn't.
This is more of a southern species, but it doesn't go fully dormant in the winter, so it can handle it up north a little bit. It's not native to Kansas City. Technically, it's native to southern Missouri.
Yeah. So make sure if you plant this in your yard, you need a structure, like a really strong structure for it to grow on. We built this kind of a teepee structure.
Oh my gosh! The python!
Oh my gosh! Oh, okay, this is really special, y'all. Okay,
I've never seen it bloom before.
Can you hold it down for me?
Yes.
Hold
Here,
it
let me
down
see if
more.
I can pull
Okay,
one.
sorry, Tammy. This isn't even on
Tammy,
the list, but
I'm
this
sorry.
is too exciting.
Oh my
Dutchman's pipeline.
gosh.
Look at that.
I've never seen it flower.
Me either.
This is
So we
exciting.
knew we had this in here, but we didn't see it last year. Dang, that's cool.
Well, we saw it, but we didn't see it flower. And we saw, oh my gosh. That's so cool.
wow.
Okay, so Dutchman's pipeline was planted out here, and we thought we lost it this year because the coral honeysuckle is so crazy, and we thought it got shaded out, but it's lovely. It's flowering.
Yay.
I think this is the first time I've caught the flowers. It may have flowered last year.
And we just didn't notice it. Yeah.
But this is the host plant for the Dutchman's pipeline swallowtail, which is a really special butterfly, and that can only eat this species, I think, in our range.
That's cool.
I might be wrong, but so we have found the cats before. We found the caterpillars of the pipeline, but not the flowers. So this is
so exciting.
And the
Do you know
flowers
the
are so
Latin name
cute.
for it? It's
Nope.
okay if you don't.
I should
But
know.
we'll follow up in the email you get from Tammy. We'll include that in the notes in case you want to try it out. Shout out to our friend Roberta. I saw she has a gorgeous, I saw a photo of this of Dutchman's pipevine growing at her house on a rock wall, and it is beautiful.
That's
so
awesome.
hi, Roberta.
Hi, Roberta. Speaking of that, that reminded me of that. The coral honeysuckle is also a host plant, a larval host plant for the spring azure butterfly, which everyone has, and the clearing hummingbird moth, which
yes,
everyone
also loves
has too.
primrose.
Yeah, it also primrose also can feed off of these flowers, but it also can lay eggs on that, and the
That's
babies will
awesome.
eat it, so.
Okay, we're gonna race over to our last plant, and then we're taking questions. That was so exciting, y'all. We really we're not expecting that. You saw it here first. Okay, so if you tuned in this time last year, you saw this plant, and it's one of my favorite. I call it the gateway plant for the native plant world, and it is blue false indigo, or Baptisia australis. Seriously, it is like, oh,
There's a bumblebee on it right now.
Kind of bumblebee.
Yeah, let's see if we can catch this one.
So look how gorgeous this is. First of all, check out the structure. We do have a little fence here just to keep our trails clear and open, but it grows to be about 3 to 4 feet wide and tall, but you don't have to prune it. It just naturally has a really nice structure to it. Also, the foliage is so beautiful. And these blue pea flowers. Oh, right now I see a fly that's trying to get nectar out of it. And we saw a bumblebee earlier. But okay, so something that's cool about this plant is it's one of Missouri's tumbleweeds. So I mentioned this looks great in the spring. It also looks beautiful in the fall and winter. It is one of my top 10 plants. If you don't have this plant, add it to your full sun garden. It can handle maybe a little bit of dappled shade. It really prefers full sun though. So in the fall, the foliage turns to a nice like silvery charcoal color. And then the flowers you see here turn into these gorgeous pods, and they shake like a rattle. And I mentioned it's one of Missouri's tumbleweeds because at the end of fall or winter, it will naturally break away from the ground, and it will tumble. And the reason it does this is because those seeds inside the pods requires scarification in order to break their dormancy and in order to germinate. How cool is that? So it's really easy to maintain. I like to keep it in the gardens as long as I can.
Yeah, we just leave ours until the wind takes them, and then one day we come in and we find them like in a corner somewhere where the wind blew them in.
But this is such a cool plant. There's other indigo species. There's a cream, there's a white, there's even a yellow. Each one has a different structure. So just bear that in mind when you're doing your research on them, because the cream indigo is really short and sprawls out, whereas the white has a similar structure, but it's like not as full. It's a little bit leggy. Anyway,
Yeah.
That's my bit on Baptisia australis or blue false indigo. Such a beautiful plant.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Did you already say that you can deadhead them too? We have, okay, so this one specifically is situated in front of this sign that it's just a little bit hard to see when it's full. Like here, I'll show it from this angle.
Yeah.
So like if you walk this way, it's a little bit hard to see the bottom of that sign when this is in full bloom. So we ended up deadheading these like a couple of years ago, and they like deadheading them right after they stopped blooming, and they came back and bloomed again in the fall. So crazy. So sometimes you can get that to happen.
Something we like to talk about is pushing the boundaries on where you put your native plants. A lot, it's good to look at the recommendations for sunlight, moisture levels, all these things, but don't be afraid to experiment. You can, if it doesn't work out, you can try to move it to a better place, but you'd be surprised on what those boundaries are. All right. And with that, I think we're ready to take questions, Tammy, if you're ready for us.
I am ready, as are the group too. That was amazing. There's so much color there. So we may have to take a little trip to go back and answer this question. Donna asked, please, what is the grass by the stone in the middle of the first garden we viewed?
Yes,
let's go.
Yes. I'm so happy you asked. Okay.
We always want to talk about grasses, but
so here, do you mind if I take it?
Take it.
Okay. That is a great question. So that grass by the tall white stone is eyelash grass or Budalua gracilis. It is hands down my favorite grass right now. It's a short, compact, clump forming perennial grass. And when it blooms, did you know grasses bloom? How cool is that? It looks like false eyelashes on there. So let's see. Sorry, trying to get out of the sun.
Camera.
So that would be this plant here. Look how fine the leaves are. That's something I think about too when I'm designing a garden is the contrast in textures. I love how soft and fine the grass is compared with the broad leaves of the Missouri evening primrose.
Yeah, and you can see it a little bit right there where the primrose is like sort of growing up through. We always talk about how, grasses are so important because you need that support structure. You need something filling in that space. You need, it provides habitat. Did you guys say that? Habitat for
beetles,
insects and beetles. So grasses are really important. They have flowers too. They have seed value. So they've got it all. Just not big showy flowers.
That's right. Don't forget about it.
We have it up in the front. We have two circles of oh wait, no, that's sorry.
Prairie drop seed is another great one.
The Ruellia, the
oh yeah,
really nice
and the Verbena does too. In the grasses, so that's awesome. Yeah, we also the second type of grass I have in here is another Budalua. It's Budalua Pendulum, which is Cydotes grama. It's a graminoid. And I have it in the back and it'll get a lot taller. So you'll have to come back and see it once it shows up there. Yeah. Sorry, I just get so excited about eyelash grass. It's like seriously my favorite plant.
Only grass that matters.
That's awesome. Ashley asks, I'm trying to turn my front yard into a native lawn, but I'm having a hard time with landscape design. Is there any helpful tips you could offer?
Sure. So I love doing native landscape design. What I recommend is first observing your site. Really take the time to see when the light hits it, where it hits it, because morning sun versus afternoon sun are two very different things. And rarely do yards in Kansas City have complete full shade. So take a look at that, see where the water pools, things like that, because that's really going to dictate what plants you can have. Also think about what your gardening goals are. Are you trying to attract pollinators? Are you looking for birds? These things will also inform your decisions.
Do you need something low growing? Do you need something
formal?
That's going to be formal?
Yes. Formal. I like to write these things out so I can see it on paper. And then that's when the research begins. And I think it's a really fun process. But if you would like to have insight, there are some great resources like Deep Root's website. Also, Grow Native has free landscape designs on their website that you can reference. Sometimes I look at that and just see what combinations they're suggesting. for certain purposes.
Yeah.
And there's also really great webinars online through Wild Ones. They've done like native landscape design lectures, and I like watching those.
There's tons of native landscape design lectures out there. Yeah, so probably some on Deep Roots, YouTube too.
Yeah, for sure. Great question.
That is a great question.
And then also always remember tall plants in the back, short plants in the
front. Oh yeah, the three levels. Tall, yeah, that's true. No, yeah, tall plants in the very back. Don't put common milkweed in the front.
Yeah, don't put common milkweed.
So Alix, I want you to stand behind Cydney.
Okay.
In the picture. Here's your visual.
Okay.
Tall plants in the back, shorter plants in the front. There we go. There's your visual for the day.
I grew up in the Glade.
We'll name you next time. So Kevin asks, how hard is it to transplant Baptisia?
I have never done it before, but I did meet someone the other day at I gave a lecture to a home a neighborhood group. Mm-hmm. And they said that they had great success transplanting it. So I know the plant does die back in the winter, and then when it comes up in the spring, it reminds me a lot of a hosta plant, like the way it emerges. So I would recommend dig much wider than the footprint of the plant and deeper. I mean, deeper, that doesn't really help, but
deeper. Yeah, because okay, so when you're like thinking about transplanting something, especially a prairie plant, you got to think about if they, because a lot of them do have really deep taproots, like milkweeds, purple poppy mallow, these kinds of things. So you want to try to get as much of the root as possible. I've never dug Baptisia before. Thankfully, it pretty much, that's why it's great for a formal garden, because it pretty much stays where we intend it. There are a couple that we're going to have to move later this year, though.
So cool. Well, stay tuned. We might let you know how it goes.
Yeah, you let us
know. And Adrian, I saw you comment that you transplanted your Baptisia and it didn't die yet. Good job.
Yeah.
Got it.
We make Adrian do all these things for us, and then she tells us what works.
We do. And that's the beauty of native landscaping, is you'll never know everything. So just keep experimenting and have fun with it.
And then, come and see the mistakes that we've made and how we fix them. And that's a good place for this wild tour too.
Yes,
it's exactly. All homeowners that have made these mistakes and learned from them. And
it's the only way to do it, really. Just be comfortable making mistakes. And it's a learning process. Yeah.
And share knowledge with others.
Absolutely.
Because, that's important. I love to tell people how I mess things up and then remedy them, because that's the only way you learn, and that's what makes life interesting.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what makes this community so great too. We are always willing to share.
Yes. Love deep roots. Yes.
Tasha asks, do you have plant recommendations for a no-mow lawn?
Oh, there's no such thing. No such thing.
So,
as a no-mow lawn.
Yeah, I've seen this thing going around about no mow May, and there's an interesting article about it that I actually didn't read it, but some people, Heather Holmes. I saw a headline, and Heather Holmes and some other people were saying, reconsider of no mow, and I'm guessing that it's because it makes it look unruly and doesn't actually provide as many benefits to our pollinators as we might think. Right. So
the idea behind no mow May was that you don't mow, and so yards that have weeds in them, flowering weeds in them, the pollinators would be able to eat those during that month. But that's not really helping.
Just plant native.
Just plant native plants.
Yeah.
Like if your clover and your fake strawberry
and your dandelion,
your grape hyacinths are all blooming, it's like you're not really helping anyone. You're helping the honeybees, but they don't need our help. They're not native.
They've got plenty of help.
Yeah. So we're just always on the side of planting native. But going back to the no-mow thing, we have attempted several things. Deep Roots has attempted to do like with sedges and using other types of grass, and there's not a good solution yet. At some point, I imagine there will be a buffalo grass cultivar that can handle Kansas City. Right now, we don't have one. Buffalo grass is turning out to be a great alternative for turf grass, but only in the situations it can handle, which is not Kansas City.
It likes it really dry.
We get way too much water. We get too much. There's too much there's too much weed competition. So we do have one coworker who has a buffalo yard grass in Waldo, and she spends hours and hours and hours out there weeding it.
Yeah.
So, and we have area, well, actually we can show this. So this area behind us in the prairie circles, we have, we had originally mulched it when we made this 5 years ago. And all of this that has come in is just self-seeded weeds. And so what we decided to do is just mow it occasionally when we need to. And what's come in is like, you know, your clovers,
milkweed,
your nutset, milkweed, ragweed, wild cranesbill geranium, dandelions, like every weed that you can think of just lives in here. And so we just mow it whenever it gets too tall. Yeah. And that, you know, we also have a lot of resources. That's so funny. There's just a honeybee on the clover. Exactly proving my point.
Yeah.
We see no native bees on this clover. It's just honeybees. But yeah, as far as like plants that you could cover your whole yard with to not mow,
you might as well convert it to a garden space. I will say that,
or do it like this, like just mow it when it's like, don't spray it anymore. Don't spray it.
That works for some people who don't have homeowner associations or pesky neighbors. So it depends on your situation. I will say, and this doesn't really cover what you're asking, but if you're looking for something to transition into your lawn, like from garden to lawn, sedges are a great transition because sedges look like grasses, right? And that fine texture, that formal look, that can help ease into your flower bed. So something to think about too.
We do have Roberta, who we spoke about earlier. She's got a pretty nice sedge yard, but I know she puts a lot of work into it.
And people can get homeowners, or what is it, codes and things can be a problem with that specifically. So it just depends on your situation. I'm sorry we don't have a better answer, and now we're rambling.
But you asked that question. Everyone asks us that question. We don't have a good answer.
We don't.
We always ramble this much every time anyone asks.
All right, perfect. And I popped in the wrong Latin name for the pipevine plant, Dutchman's pipe. So I put the right one in, the Latin name in. Thank you to Julie for giving me the right one. Google too quickly when you have 7 things up on your screen.
That's a common name for like 5 other plants too.
Yeah,
so
clearly.
You can't just put Dutchman's because you're gonna get a lot of results.
Yeah. So Becky asks, I have a bunch of blue baptisia seeds coming up and we're really crowded, but only about 2 inches tall right now. How much should I thin them out? I had saved a large handful of seeds and threw them in the garden last fall, and it looks like about all of them are coming up. That's awesome. A good problem to have, Becky.
Problem. So
I'm anti-thinning.
I am pro thinning. So well, here's the thing is like if they're in the ground right now, they get so big. I would do a little more research on them because I honestly have never done it before, but we have Liatris that self-seeded in our beds here. We're leaving them because they're mostly all going to get eaten. So what you could do is wait till be a few inches tall.
Don't thin them, just let whatever one is dominant take over.
I would say that, and then you'll notice very quickly which one is going to be the healthiest or the healthier of them, and then thin the rest of those out. So let them get a little taller because you don't want them to be totally crowded out because then they can all die.
But let me give you this one advice. At this point, and what I would just do, because they're precious, is if you're going to thin them, use scissors, cut them. Do not pull them out by the roots, because I would be worried that they're putting all their energy into making their root system. Their root system is probably 2 to 3 times as big as how much you're seeing leaf growth on top. So just cut those down. Don't pull them out. You'll ruin the root system.
That is such a good tip.
That's why I'm anti-thinning. I win. I feel like
I win. I'm the best. Awesome. All right, we have a few more. I think we have a little time to finish these up. We have 4 more. Natalie asks, I have a primrose that is white with some pink. It is kind of aggressive. How aggressive is the yellow?
So that the pink one is common primrose. I can't remember the Latin name for that one.
Speciosa.
Oh, Oenothera speciosa. That one's super aggressive, but it's such a so beautiful. Showy primrose, sorry. It is so beautiful, but it does take over. It's better off in its own bed where it can spread out.
Or better with like really large
shrubs, maybe even.
Yeah, or plants that can handle some competition. Like we have it with like Zizia, which is higher up. Things that are blooming sooner in the spring and are getting more growth in the spring. They kind of go in between those plants.
So for the Missouri evening primrose, the Oenothera macrocarpa, the yellow one we showed earlier, it spreads to about 3 feet. And so
if it's really happy.
If it's happy, again, needs really dry, well draining soil, full sun. And I planted 90 of them. So I'm probably gonna have to thin mine out, honestly.
Yeah.
But so yeah, 3 feet.
Yeah. And they're easy to prune back too. If they get too long, you can nip those back and they'll rebloom.
Yeah.
Perfect. Karen asks.
Has them. She's got they're like also so happy that they're growing up, which is not typical. They typically are like trailing and sort of growing a little bit lower. Oh, she's really, in some other beds where we make it struggle, it stays really, really low.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great to know.
Yeah, sometimes making struggle is the key to like keep it, like helping with maintenance, making lower maintenance plantings, I guess.
Okay.
And Karen asks, is Baptisia australis chocolate a native? I don't know. And I'm not trusting my Google skills right now.
So if it's chocolate, there's tons of cultivars, if that's what they're asking. A brown one,
a chocolate
would not
one?
be, I'm assuming.
Baptisia australis is known for its striking bluish purple flowers.
But there's tons of australis
cultivars for sure. That's why it's so important to you don't have to know how to pronounce the Latin name. That's my new tagline, but you just need to know how to reference it when you go to your nurseries, like soil service,
especially with that one, because I think that was the situation, right, where we had someone that was trying to get false indigo and they accidentally got wild indigo.
Well, it gets confusing, so write down the Latin name, have it for reference when you go to the store.
What we'll do on the references that we send out this time is send a link to the Bone app so that if someone is questioning it, they can quickly see if it's native here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so helpful. All right. So Sarah asked, can you tell us about the bamboo arch edging around some of the beds? I know we've had this question before.
Okay. See behind us here.
So it's from a company called A.M. Leonard. And the website is Gardener's Edge, but the parent company is A.M. Leonard. And you can order them. They come in packs of 50, I think. We just got a shipment of them. They're awesome. They last a few years. We them out in the winter because
we didn't even take these out though.
Well, no, but the reason we take them out in the winter is on the sidewalks. The snowplows nab them. So when we take them out and put them back in like that, they don't last as long. But in Primrose Prairie, since you get to leave them, you don't have to take them out. They really help with keeping children specifically off of our plants.
Yeah, that's the most pressure we have besides rabbits would be children who we love having them here.
Yes, but Cydney put that lovely climbing rock in the middle of Primrose Prairie. What are they supposed to do?
All right. Well, I think that's probably going to I'm going to take a photo I'm going to make sure that we have the rest of the questions answered later on. But what we're going to do for those of you who have questions about if something is native, I'm going to, when the resources we send out, I'm going to send you a link to the Bone app, and it's just going to be able to, you'll know exactly what's native to your area too, and you'll know if it's native to the United States. But we'll send that out, and hopefully that will help you answer those questions for what's a native and what's not. And now we are going to get to prize time. So many of you have just been such great participants in Native Plants at Noon, and we'd like to reward you for that. So now it's time to award a prize to an astute viewer. The winner of this prize will receive a set of native plant note cards each featuring a unique native plant drawing by local Kansas City artist Nancy Waugh. For those of you not lucky enough to win today, they are available for purchase on our website too. So Alix and Cydney have a quiz question, and the first person who puts the right answer in the chat will win. So use your chat, not your Q&A this time. Use your chat, make sure it goes to everyone. And here's the question. Go for it.
Okay. So get ready, get your chat open. Okay, we were talking about Primrose Prairie earlier. What flying insect is known for pollinating Missouri evening primrose? Oenothera macrocarpa. Hey!
Oh! Can you see?
I saw the first one. I saw
the first one.
The Sphinx moth.
That is that is Sarah.
Yay, congrats,
So,
Sarah. Thank you for
Sarah,
paying attention.
whoever Sarah is, Sarah, send me your
Ah,
email.
Sarah Buyer, maybe?
It could be. I can't tell
Sarah
which Sarah it is.
Sarah H-E-M-M-E. Cool. Congrats, Sarah.
So
I love those
congratulations,
cards.
Sarah. And we will get in touch with you, Sarah, if you can send me your email. Send us your Tammy at deeprootskc.org, and we'll organize getting your address and get those note cards out to you in the mail. Thank you both for just so much information, so much color, so much enthusiasm.
I missed you
Still
all.
our favorite day.
Come see us.
We only saw a fraction of the bloom.
Come to the So Wild Garden Tour in June. It's gonna be so fun.
Yes. And that will be part of our resources too. We popped it in the chat, but I know sometimes it's hard to, get back and forth between the chat. So everything we put in chat will also come to you in the resources section as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will close out for the day. Thank you both. Bye. All right. So, and congratulations to Sarah. All right. Thanks. And head out to the Discovery Center soon, or any of the other amazing Missouri Department of Conservation sites. They're just teeming. Spring is just like a new treasure every single day. So head out there. If you can't get out to the Discovery Center, just get out to a local park or your backyard and just enjoy the treasures, sounds, all the textures. It's just wonderful. To learn more about what's going on at the Discovery Center, you can go to mdc.mo.gov and search for events at the Anita B. Gorman Discovery Center. The Deep Root site also has many references for native plants, so hop on over there and see what more you can learn. We also have an area there for native plant sales, and we are just right in the middle of native plant sale season. So check out that under our events tab. There are plant sales nearly every weekend right now. And for me, it's really kind of hard to not buy a plant. So speaking of events, don't miss our webinar on June 2nd. Our webinar will discuss the benefits of insects in our yards and why we should be welcoming them instead of killing them. So this will be an incredibly informative webinar led by the famous Betsy Petros, and Stephen Van Ryn will also join for the Q&A part. You can register for that webinar at deeproots.org/webinars. We also have native plants at noon on the road, like we talked about on June 16th, and we are going to discover a prairie there. If you have missed any of our episodes, you can find them all at deeproots.org. We record and post each one. So head on over there if you've missed one or you want to reference one. Specifically, we have one about native grasses and converting your lawn to grasses. So check that one out on our webinar site. And while you're there, we would be so grateful if you would consider making a donation to Deep Roots as well. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you back here on June 16th. Thank you.